Hi friends, Chris Kelly here. It is midweek. It's time to look at some changing stats, a little bit changing stats, and talk a little bit about what's going on in the market. Are we shifting? What are we shifting to? How fast is it happening? What's going to be the end result? All that good stuff. So, wanted to get this out a little bit earlier than I have been. Here in this coming weekend, I'm going to be playing in the dirt in the Gambler 500. I'll show you a picture. That's my Gambler 500 beater. So a lot of fun out picking up garbage and just having a good time out in the dirt roads with friends. So should be lovely. Anyway, let's shift to stats. Here, let me get my screen down here. There we go. So, like I said last weekend, less inventory, Memorial Day weekend. Definitely the reason. As you can see, we've shifted back into quite a bit more new inventory this week. And this, again, we're getting there, getting close. I'd sure love to see our numbers this year look like this a whole bunch of weeks in a row. We have had enough of a shift to move us. I'm going to flip over here to the inventory number. There we go. So the new inventory in months came out through the month of May. And as you can see, we've moved all the way up to one whole month of inventory. You can see in the last couple of years, we haven't broken 2.5 months. We really haven't broken 2.5 months since early 19. So again, a balanced market by historic definition is 6 months worth of inventory. So we have been heavily in a seller's market for the last period of years. I mean, a number of years now. So back over here, I mean, the pace of the market is still this. It's 21 days on average in Portland Metro. 5 is the median, which I always say is a slightly better metric to evaluate than average, but nevertheless, between the two, you can see that real estate is still moving at a pretty good clip. This is another week of 600,000 median and 676 for an average sales price. Good Lord! Like I said, I think this is probably here to stay. We have a somewhat constrained marketplace. We have an urban growth boundary that surrounds the city, and it creates in and of itself a constrained inventory. So where new construction is concerned. So it isn't like Phoenix or Las Vegas or some of these other markets of Texas, where you can just look out and say, hey, we're going to build 3,000 homes over there. And 6 months later, they're, well on their way. That's not how it works here, as anybody that's been a part of new construction can well attest. So, but what that does is it keeps your sales prices, one might say, artificially inflated, but it's really not artificial. The urban growth boundary has been here forever and ever. So, well, I shouldn't say ever, but decades. So it's, it is what it is. So it's this number right here, it would be nice to see more of these transactions closing. This tells me that transactions are failing at a higher rate, and that some of this number, this new listing number, could be back on the market, because that's where that gets put, is back into new listing inventory. So I don't think that's in and of itself moving the needle that much, but that does explain it, at least in part. So another robust week. The market is kind of shifting to a balanced market. And again, like I said last week, looking at the marketplace as it was in 2018 or 2019 might be a better comparison. 2020 and 2021, once we got past the initial pause that was caused by the front end of the pandemic, once that got past and interest rates shot down into the low 3s and ultimately into the 2s, it was, we experienced a new normal for a couple of years, and it's an abnormally high new normal. So, are we going back to 2018, 2019 levels? I've said this a bunch of times on these videos over the last couple of years. 2018 and 2019 were unbelievable markets. They were unbelievable years in the real estate market. So, to say, well, gosh, we're going back to those types of numbers. Yeah, okay. Those were awesome years. They just weren't ridiculous like 20 and 21 were. So, I think when you start looking at things through maybe a little wider lens, the market shift to a balanced market it's not a bad thing at all. It's just, you get used to listing a home on Thursday and selling it by Monday all the time with a bunch of offers. That isn't going to be the way it is as much going forward. We just pended a house this last weekend, and it pended in just the 3 days, and it pended for over list, but we had one offer. We didn't have 12. We didn't have 5. We had one. That's where things start changing. That's how they start changing. And like I said, eventually, we've moved up to 1 month of inventory from 0.8. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but when you think about it in terms of the entire metropolitan area, it is a change. It's a change enough to move the needle a little bit. So, eventually it won't be long before we're at 2 months and 2.5 months, and heaven forbid, 3 months. Again, that's still a seller's market by historic definition. So anyway, I hope you find this information interesting, and I hope you find it valuable. Those are my goals. Beyond that, my goal is to be here, be a voice of reason, be here to help you and yours, should you need it, should you want it. So if that's the case, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to help. I love doing this, so I'm always here to help. All right, guys, I'm going to cut it short, so until the next time.